Hello, friends from the manga world. My name is G,
And I'm Hector.
and we're here to talk about the manga new releases of April 2023. Hector and we work for Penguin Random House, and the titles we'll talk about today are those that we can sell into the international market around the world. And so, just to give you a little bit of a laydown of what we do with these videos, so you know what to expect, Hector and I have our own picks that we'll like to present to you. Really cool manga releases that we're excited about. And then we'll go into volume ones. And then after that, we'll continue on with the rest of the list so you could see what that looks like. So just as a warning here, due to like the continuing production delays and everything that's going on in the background, you may see some repeat titles that we may have mentioned in like previous months that might show up here. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. So, all right, and then we'll actually get started and super excited because this is my first pick. And it's actually volume two. And if you haven't read volume one, I suggest that you do so. This is Barbary Teas, volume two. Now, I really like the covers to these, and
Yeah.
that's the main draw for me, as along with the premise. So the character who has a ponderous face with a hand to chin, his name is Joel, and he's the nephew of Lord Montague. And he's being targeted and his life is being threatened because of his radical beliefs. Back then, it was considered radical, not so much now, but he believed in separation of church and state. And therefore, people of religion, of the church, are not too fond of the ways that he does things. And so that's why he's getting targeted. So he is given a bodyguard. And the bodyguard is the man that you see here that hardly has any clothes on in the Grecian like outfit that you see here. And as
Yeah.
you can imagine, Adam, who is the bodyguard, is like beautiful, like no matter what gender, everyone falls for him. He just loves love. He does not care. Like he will just like flirt with anyone that comes by. But he super pains because Joel, for some reason, is not accepting his advances. So it's a story of like a cat and mouse chase. So if that's something that you're into, this is something that you would definitely want to pick up. I just like at least like with Adam, it's like kind of ridiculous but also comedic in how like
Yeah.
hard he tries to get that attention that he's not essentially getting even though like he's usually the center of attention anywhere he goes. So just a little bit about this. As you can see, it's a yaoi title, so if you're into that, definitely this is one that you would want to pick up as well. Mhm.
Yes. And next up is one of my picks. And this is Demons of the Shadow Realm, Volume 1. This is by Hiro Arakawa. And if you've heard that name before, it's because it's the creator of the smash hit Full Metal Alchemist. And in this case, this author brings us this world where some humans have the ability to control and command these demons. Um, and it's usually a duo of demons, and you see a duo of them behind the boy here, the person here, and the story follows this boy right here on the cover who lives in this village, is stuck in this village really, because he wants to be close to his sister, who for some reason we don't know at the beginning is kept in a cage at all times. So he stays there, but there's also the story of both of them being twins, and they do have a connection to these demons. So there's not much of in the description, obviously, because they're keeping a lot of things secrets. But for me, the biggest draw, obviously, is the author, because Full Metal Alchemist is such an amazing story, and I really love it. But also, it sounds like it's one of those fantasy stories with a lot of dramatic, um, with a lot of drama, with a lot of family sort of connections, and the meaning of family, and the meaning of how do you connect with the community also, and obviously a lot of fantasy involved. So
Mm.
this one is one that I'm really looking forward to, and I think it's, again, because of the name of the author, is going to have a lot of draw, so you might want to make sure you have this at your stores for sure.
Mm. My next pick comes to no surprise here. This is Blue Lock Volume 6. If you've seen our best of 2022, this was
Yep,
on my list of best ofs. Um, if you don't know what this is about, where have you been? Because
exactly.
this has been blowing up. The anime is currently airing. It's getting so much attention right now. I gotta say, this is such an addicting story, and that's what's drawing fans because it's adrenaline rushing. You have to know what's next as you're reading it. Very briefly, if you don't know the premise, basically, Japan is in a bit of a situation where they're not doing too well in the Olympics, and they want to find the best striker to build an Olympic team, for instance, so that they have a solid standing with their players, and so they invite all of these strikers, potential like I gotta say they're all strikers in their own right, but they want to pick the ultimate striker that's going to be picked to be part of the national team. So they create this coliseum called Blue Lock, and it's basically everyone participates who wants to participate. And if you get through all the rounds, you'll eventually get to that spot, that coveted spot. If you lose, you no longer have a career in soccer, basically. Like you can forget about your professional career at this point. So it's high stakes in this way. Because they're all strikers, their mentality is that way. And the person who is sort of like coaching or sort of like creating these challenges, who's up top, like making this happen, has a very interesting philosophy where he basically says, forget about working as a team. We're looking for egotists. We're looking for a striker who only cares about themselves and like who will do whatever it takes to survive and win, which is very interesting the way that that psychology is being played out in the story. In volume 6, you see the cover image. This is a character called Rin. He shows up for the first time in round 2 or the second selection. So that's what the storyline you'll see here in this case. What's interesting about this particular arc, not going to go into spoiler details, but just so that you know, what you used to think in terms of allies completely changes, especially the further you get as you're reading through the story. Rin might be considered a villain in this case, but no one is either good or bad. You're kind of both. And you have to like analyze characters, analyze skills to figure out how to play one character off of another, to find a way to use skill sets on your team to help your team win, even though it's not really a team mentality, but sometimes you have to do that to like get past the next round. It's so interesting. I could talk on and on about this. I would just say like this is definitely worth a read, and definitely for fans, especially now. This is something that you would want to pick up now, considering the anime is still airing at this point. Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. Next up is Free Life Fantasy Online Immortal Princess. And now this is the light novel volume 2, but we also have the manga coming out at the same time, which you'll see in the next slide in a minute. Yeah, there it is. And this is volume 3 for the manga. Now, this is an isekai. This is a story of being inside a game, but it has a little bit of a twist, obviously. So in this one, the main character, which you see here, well, you see her persona in the game, but there's a girl named Katone, and she's a big gamer. And her little sister knows this, so she gives her this new game at the present that's called Free Life Fantasy Online. And she connects to it, and she's like being very cocky because she's a big gamer. It's like, I got this. And she says, you know what? What is this? I can play as a zombie? Let me try that. And then soon she realizes that is like the hardest character you can play as in this game. Even if you're very experienced, it's very, very, very hard to handle the missions as a zombie. And even though it's a very powerful, and she realizes it's a very powerful character. But as she keeps playing on, she realizes too, and as she plays in this world and keeps going on adventures, she realizes that a lot of the things that are happening in her adventures and in her quests in this game are helping her in real life, in her real life. So it's kind of a sort of a cool thing because she's still in connection with the real world, but at the same time, she's getting a lot of lessons that is helping her in real life from the game. It's very cool. It looks the illustration looks like there's a lot of action in it, and it's a big story. And I highly recommend it because I'm definitely going to dive into this one. This is one right up my alley. D knows that anything like this is definitely a big pick for me. So there it is.
Next up, we have Cinderella Closet. This is volume 1. The main character here, whose name is Haruka, is a plain, like a plain woman, like doesn't, it's just unassuming, like just puts her hair back, doesn't really think about her looks very much. But once she graduates high school and is ready to get into college, she's like, I'm going to glow up. Doesn't say those words, but that's basically what it is. She's like, I'm going to grow my hair out. I'm going to make an effort to make friends, have a boyfriend, like do all these things that I want to do. Like, I want to be fashionable. I want to become this person. So she imagines this person that she wants to become. But then reality sits in. She's in Tokyo. She's going to college there. She has to make ends meet by going to college, but also taking a part-time job just so that she could feed herself, so she doesn't have time to really sleep and she doesn't get enough nutrients. And so because she's so busy, she doesn't really have time to do really to really do club activities or to really pay attention to the way that she looks. She needs to spend money on more essential survival things. Like food is very important. So she just lives her life in that way. But she falls for a coworker who is perhaps the most frustrating character that I've ever read, but that's the point. And she wants to impress him by fulfilling this idea of herself that she has in her head. And she suddenly runs into this person that you'll see over to the left with blonde hair and has beautiful makeup, runs into that person randomly, like a random stranger, and is stunned by their beauty. Like, wow, you're beautiful, and blurts out, you smell good. Help me smell good like you, or help me become I don't understand what primer is or what these makeup things are. Like, can you tell me? Because I need your help. That happens on their second interaction in the book, but at some point she puts up the courage to ask this stranger to help her out. And so, as the name of this title implies, Cinderella, who's working hard and has this transformation in a way, wants to impress someone that she has a crush on, it sounds like a simple story, like a story that we're used to hearing because it's a Cinderella like play on that. But something interesting, there's a twist in here that I'm not going to reveal because that will spoil it. There's a twist at the end of volume 1 that you definitely want to read up to. Here's because you get to learn more about characters, especially that stranger that she interacts with. That you're kind of like, whoa, I didn't know. Interesting. So you're gonna have to pick it up to read to see what that twist is. But yeah. So definitely something that you should pick up here if you like Cinderella inspired, fairy tale inspired manga.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one that I'm thinking of, My Happy Marriage, which is also something that we put out, or like that we can not we PRH, but a client of ours, a publisher that you can also check out as well. My Happy Marriage is also a Cinderella inspired. It's like blowing up right now. So if you're not aware of that,
Yeah.
these two are something that you also like. I would imagine like readers would want to pick both up because of they're very different in their own ways, but in terms of that type of Cinderella inspired story, I would highly recommend picking them both up for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. All right. And then our next pick is Quality Assurance in Another World, Volume 1. This is by Masamichi Sato. And now another isekai, obviously, but this one also a different twist. So this girl that you see here on the cover, Nicola, she's a village girl and she's living her peaceful, quiet life. There's, farmers and animals, and it's all very quiet. And suddenly one day, a dragon shows up and she's shocked. But that's not the biggest shock that she gets. The biggest shock is that this guy who's here next to her, Haga, he shows up and he debugs the situation and erases the dragon and fixes it. And then it kind of dawns on her, wait, what the hell is going on? And then he explained that he's part of society called the Seekers, who are created to go around the world and debug the maladies of the world and make it, so they can continue to be a very peaceful and friendly world for everybody. So it is kind of a play on sort of a little bit like the Matrix and things like that of, if you live in a game or in a game kind of world, do you know that you are in a game? Are we living in a world where it's being controlled by, other powers, and uh, we don't all usually realize it, but it's in a funny way, obviously. So it's very, very cool concept. Um, the illustrations look amazing and very beautiful, as you can see from the cover, but the interiors too are very, very beautiful. And it's a very light, funny, but also makes you think a little bit in philosophy, and the philosophy of where we are, who we are, and why we here, kind of thing. So I highly, highly recommend this one too. And it's one of those that is also was getting a lot of attention when it came out in Japan originally. So you want to definitely check this one out.
Mhm. Okay, and obviously this is something I have to
There's
pick.
got to be a cat in this list, obviously.
Yeah, you have to. The amount of cat stuff that is coming out, you need to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
special attention
of
towards.
course.
This is a story of 7 lives, and the entire series, which is like a 3-volume series, is actually put together into one edition that you're gonna see here, like the cover image here. So this is like an omnibus format that you're getting with this collection, which is like a really great price considering that you can get the full thing all in one.
Yeah.
And this is about a cat who is formerly a house cat, but then unfortunate circumstances happen and they are now a street cat and
Mhm.
has to learn how to survive being a street cat, whether or not trying to find other friends to sort of like out, I guess, street allies, to sort of help with the survival of being out there in the world. And in this in this story, cats can communicate with each other, and that's pretty enjoyable to read through. But in this case, cats cannot communicate with humans. So there is like there's no communication that way. But what's interesting about this is the the life that the cat is going through, which is very tough and hard. That cat encounters a human who has emotional, how do I say? I don't want to say emotional baggage because that makes it sound like it's a burden. It's not. It's like she has intense, she has a background that she can't get past, and it's
Mhm.
very tough for her as well. And her past is intertwined with this cat in some way, and you're gonna have to find out to figure out how. And it's a story of these two different, like one a cat, one a human, trying to heal from if heal from their own traumas together. It's a very sweet story in that way. So again, this is great because you could pick it up all in one. It's a like one and done type of story that you could just finish in one hand or paw.
In one
uh
very big sitting, but yeah, it's
yeah, yeah,
452
yeah, yeah.
pages, which is great.
Which is great. So this is something that you should keep your eyes out
Yes,
on for
definitely.
April. Mhm.
Awesome. And
All
those are
right,
our
so
picks, right?
yeah, those are our picks for the month of April. We're gonna get into volume ones. So I'll
Yep.
start with Hector here.
Yes. So first of all, for the month of April, we have as volume ones. Does it count if you lose your virginity to an android? Volume one, and then this is a sexy jewelry comedy about an office lady and her lovely robot housekeeper is sure to hit all the right buttons. Ah, like that pun. And then we have Loli Muko number one, the happy and daily life of Muko the dog and his glassmith owner, Komatsu-san. And the third one here on this slide is My Girlfriend's Child, Volume 1. My Girlfriend's Child, yes, Volume 1. A poignant and romantic show drama about a teenage couple whose lives are changed forever after a positive pregnancy test.
A really quick comment about My Girlfriend's Child. I highly recommend checking the author's interview on this title. If you could, you should be able to find it very interesting. The author did a lot of research about this topic at hand. Seems very passionate about it. Comments about like sex education and the failure of that, like really goes into it. Very dedicated about this topic. So I'm very excited for this particular one as well. So definitely highly recommend like looking into that because there's so much research that was done behind that title.
Yeah, very
Um,
cool.
so in addition to those, I'll continue on with volume ones. We have completely different shift in
On a different subject, yeah.
on a different subject. Please go home, Miss Akutsu.
Yep,
Sorry, volume
sure,
one.
sure.
This is a raunchy. If you didn't know, considering a lady on a
If you
bed,
know, looking at the cover.
it's a raunchy rom-com about a quiet guy and his voluptuous house guest who just won't stop making herself at home. She's gorgeous. She's scary. There's like no way that she could possibly like him. Is there? Question mark. Gonna have to find out. Next is Saving 80,000 Gold in Another World for My Retirement, Volume 1 light novel. This seems very relatable.
Yep.
Mitsuha is your average teen orphan until one day she falls off a cliff. Very unfortunate. Finds herself in another world, strangely akin to medieval Europe, which is pretty cool. She discovers that she has the ability to travel freely between both worlds and decides to make a life for herself in both worlds because why not? Because she has the ability to go back and forth. Now, all she needs to do is save up exactly 80,000 gold coins for a comfortable retirement. That should be a piece of cake, right? Question mark. And then to conclude the volume one that we have on the slide here, there's no freaking way I'll be your lover unless dot 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 manga volume one, a high school Yuri comedy about fake dating, which is like one of my favorite tropes here. uh, Wait, fake dating? Real dating? You're gonna have to question mark? Again, lots of question marks here. You're gonna have to read more. This is competitive dating, and one very overwhelmed girl who accidentally is doing all three at once. This is interesting. Is it like fake dating? Is it real dating? Is it competitive dating? What is this that this character is trying to do? This is based off of the original light novel,
Light novels.
light novels that are also available from Seven Seas as well, just so that you know.
Yep.
Now, at this point, we're going to exit off screen, but I highly recommend that you continue on because there are some cool titles in here that we didn't even get a chance to talk about. So like definitely stick around to take a look at those because we're gonna let it roll so that you can
Let it
see.
roll with the the series that are continued volumes from series, ongoing
Exactly.
series. Yeah, for the month of April, obviously.
Yep. So
But thank you for watching. Definitely.
yeah, again, we always have fun with this, so definitely
Yeah.
stick around to watch more. We do this every month. We'll have this manga, but we also have collected editions, so graphic novels. So you should. I don't know why I'm whispering, but as if it's a secret.
It's a
Um,
secret. Coming
it's a
next week.
secret. Coming
Keep
next
an eye
week.
out.
Previews. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like a shout out to that. But thank you for watching, and yes, we'll continue on here. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.